Hey, what's going on, guys? My name is Mike, and welcome to a guide on everything you need to know about Black Ops 6 Zombies. This is going to be a two-part video series covering pretty much everything that you need to know about the mode, from its basics to all of the small Easter eggs and strategies once you actually get in-game. Part 1 will be covering everything in the menus and some settings that I would recommend you change or adjust prior to actually playing. And Part 2, in another video, will cover all of the actual gameplay and round strategies to utilize in order to play to the best of your ability and do as well as you possibly can. If you do enjoy these videos, don't forget to drop me a like as well as your thoughts in the comments. And without further ado, let's go ahead and get right into it. Firstly, I just want to outline that in your operator's menu, we do have access to zombie-specific characters. These are made up of Mac Carver, Elizabeth Gray, Gregory Weaver, and Maya Aguinaldo. These are our canon crew for Black Ops 6 Zombies, just like Zombies games of old, and they are crucial to the progression of the storyline throughout Black Ops 6. It is highly incentivized for you to play as them while you enter through the Zombies mode, as you will get a greatly enhanced experience throughout playing the story, several boss fights, and other character interactions. Heading over to the barracks, stats, and challenges part of the menus, Zombies does have its own XP progression that applies to your player level, weapon level, and battle pass progression. It is all unified between all the other modes of play, including multiplayer and Warzone. And just like multiplayer and Warzone, Zombies does have its own specific career challenges, prestige challenges, as well as dark ops, and some 100% rewards if you do manage to complete them. Coming back from Cold War as well is the return of the Intel system, where as you explore the maps and get access to more and more of the story, some dropped papers, audio logs, and other artifacts will be made available to you to view in the Intel menu, and you can always reference back to these at any time. When it comes to some of the menu stuff related to how it will influence your actual in-game experience, we need to talk about what is coming back in Black Ops 6 from Cold War, and that is the loadout. Unlike Zombies games of old, you now have a choice to spawn in with whatever weapon you want, as well as now a dedicated melee weapon, a field upgrade, a lethal and tactical of your choice, as well as a separate Gobblegum pack. This is always going to be available to you immediately as soon as you start a game, meaning that if you decide to spawn in with an AR, an SMG, a launcher, or a sniper, it will be in your hands as your starting weapon. You could always choose to actually start with a pistol, just like the older Zombies games, but the choice is up to you. As far as your loadout weapon in particular, I would highly recommend that because all of the primaries have 8 attachment slots, that you use all of them to your advantage. When it comes to your specific attachment choices, there are lots that you can choose from, but I have a bunch that I would highly recommend that you put on your weapons no matter what. Starting with what I believe should be the mandatory attachments for all of your weapons, the CHF barrel, as well as the suppressor. The CHF barrel for all full auto and semi-auto weapons in this game gives you a higher headshot damage multiplier, and while that may not be the case in Warzone or multiplayer where that can actually end up lowering the shots it takes to kill, in Zombies every little bit of extra damage can help, so utilize that CHF barrel where you can. The only exception to this is with the sniper rifles. Do not use the CHF barrel on the snipers, as they do not provide a headshot damage multiplier, they add a body multiplier, which is definitely not as helpful, especially considering the fact that the CHF barrel on snipers increases their ADS time, so do not utilize that. As far as the suppressor itself, it may be enticing to actually use some of the other muzzle attachments to lower the recoil, but I would highly recommend that you use the suppressor, as when it comes to Zombies in particular, it increases the salvage drop rate. Salvage is a secondary currency next to points, which if you are unfamiliar with it, I will explain in the next video. A lot of the other attachment slots here are available to be utilized to your own discretion, but I would still like to provide a lot of recommendations for what to actually choose if you want to be min and maxing your weapon builds as best as possible. Starting off with the front grip, I would highly recommend utilizing the Ranger foregrip, as this not only provides some horizontal recoil control, but it also increases your sprinting movement speed. Movement speed overall is something that is very crucial in Zombies, as it enables you to actually get away from any threats. As far as the rear grip, utilize your quick draw attachment, the one that provides the most amount of aim down sight speed, simply because when it comes to sprint out time or slide to fire or dive to fire, you're not really going to be utilizing the sprint to fire kind of movement as often as you are just aiming down the sight, especially if you're going to be using a perk like Deadshot Daiquiri. Making sure that your weapon is able to aim down sight as quickly as possible is going to be infinitely more helpful than making sure that your weapon is able to be ready as soon as possible out of a sprint. As far as the magazine attachments themselves, I would highly recommend that you utilize any extended mag attachment. You can utilize the fast mags if you would like to, but overall, I think just utilizing a magazine that can give you more ammo per mag is going to be more helpful than needing to reload more often, even if it is quicker. As far as some of the attachments that are definitely more personal choice over the others, the sight of your choice, I would personally recommend the Microflex sight just because it is the cleanest, it is the smallest, and it actually reminds me more of the Black Ops 2 sight if any of you are familiar with that. As far as the stock, I would recommend either the Infiltrator, the light or no stock attachment based on whatever weapon has it, as well as the balanced stock. These three stocks are all centered around increasing your movement speed as well as your aim walking movement speed, so go ahead and make the choice to whatever feels most applicable to you based on the weapon class that you are going to be utilizing. As far as the fire mods, I would highly recommend to not use either of the bullet type adjustments here. Overpressured and FMJ do not apply to zombies in the way that they work. Overpressure just simply extends the hit scan range of your weapons, which is already far enough to begin with, and FMJ provides no extra damage to any armor pieces or anything of the sort when it comes to dealing with zombies. So your only two choices if you want to utilize them are rapid fire or recoil springs, which are self-explanatory. As far as the attachments for lasers, I would highly recommend for all weapons, if you do want to utilize a laser, you can throw on the steady aim for an increased hipfire spread, or in the case of snipers in particular, utilize the target laser, as this will make it so that they have no aiming idle sway whenever you aim down the scope at first, and it also makes sure that the initial scope in is always on point to where you are aiming instead of swaying off target. Once you have built out a loadout for any of the weapons in the game, I would highly recommend to go through and do it for all of the weapons in the game and to set them as a specific zombies build. When you're doing this in the menus, create a brand new build and set it up the way that you would like to have it in zombies, and then on the lower part of the screen, go ahead and hit the prompt that allows it to be set as a zombie specific build. This will make it so that whenever the weapon is pulled out of the mystery box or bought off the wall, it will retain all of your cosmetics and attachments as you have set them here in the menu. Otherwise, if you do not do this, all of the weapons will be granted a random set of attachments based on their rarity. If you are unfamiliar with the rarity system, I will explain that in the next video as well. Something that is new to Black Ops 6 as a Call of Duty game is the inclusion of a dedicated melee weapon slot. This is a weapon slot in which only melee weapons can be swapped in and out, and you will be able to always have this on you no matter what. You have the choice of either the combat knife, the baseball bat, or the drill, and functionally all of them will effectively kill up into the higher rounds when they are fully upgraded. The bat, however, will fall off earlier than both the drill and the knife, so be sure to pick accordingly. Functionally, the drill and the knife are pretty much the same, but I would personally say that the drill is better because it has a faster melee speed relative to the knife. The next part of your loadout is your field upgrade. This is an ability that will recharge as you get kills, and you have 5 that you can choose from. Energy Mine will drop a mine on the ground and it will detonate 3 times after a zombie walks near it. Frenzied Guard will make all of the nearby zombies target you. Damage will only apply to your armor, and kills will refill that armor. Dark Flare is an energy beam weapon that will kill normal zombies over the course of 3 damage ticks, and the penetration of the beam will go all the way through zombies as far as the beam can reach. Healing Aura will instantly heal you and any nearby teammates to full HP, while Ether Shroud will cloak you from all enemies for 5 seconds. The usefulness of these abilities is entirely dependent on how you utilize them in the game, and they can be game changers for specific situations when utilized correctly. The last part of your loadout is your Gobblegum. If you're unfamiliar with Gobblegum or how they work, I will explain that here in a short moment. But basically, all you need to know is that they are consumable items in which you can utilize them in-game to have a varying number of different effects or abilities applied to you and your teammates. They come in 5 different rarities, from rare to epic to legendary to ultra, as well as whimsical. Each of the rarity labels is pretty self-explanatory, while the whimsicals are meant to be fun or funny, as well as just to provide some little bit of laughs to your overall gameplay. There are no classics as compared to Black Ops 3 in the past with unlimited uses. Every single Gobblegum in your menu is a consumable with a limited number of amounts. How you earn the Gobblegum is very simple. All you need to do, and what I can just simply tell you, is to just play the game. There is no easy farming strat, as the only real way that I have found to be able to earn Gobblegums is that you will just be granted a Gobblegum roll roughly every 20 to 30 minutes of playtime. The roll results operate on their rarity, obviously, where rares are the most common that you can get and ultras are the least common. It is also random every time one of these Gobblegum rolls activates, whether you will be granted 1, 2, or 3 gums at a time. Whimsicals are not in these rolls, however, and are earned by completing successful exfills. You will earn 1 whimsical Gobblegum if you exfil between rounds 15 to 30, 2 if you exfil between rounds 30 to 50, and you'll be granted 3 if you exfil from round 50 or higher. How to set your Gobblegum is by utilizing any Gobblegum pack in the menu here. You can create several different packs at once and they can be utilized in-game, and a Gobblegum pack will always need to be selected even if you do not plan to use them. How to actually use them in-game is another story. Scattered around the map will be several Mr. Peak's gumball machines, and once around you can use the machine for free and you will be given a random Gobblegum from your pack. Or you can wait for 5 minutes and have another roll at it, but honestly, I would just say to go to the next round if you want to get another Gobblegum on your hands. The Gobblegum system works where you must get all gums in a specific cycle at least once before you can get a repeated gum again. When you grab a Gobblegum, a prompt will shortly pop up describing what the gum does and how to activate it or when it will activate, and it will be stored off to the side until you are ready. In order to utilize the Gobblegum, hit right on the D-pad or your prompt and keyboard key to open up the Gobblegum menu and then activate it when you wish. Up to 3 Gobblegum can be held at any time, and if you are holding 3, you will not be allowed to use the machine again until you utilize one of the Gobblegum in your inventory. Another piece of the Zombies gear that you can learn about here in the menus are the ammo mods. Ammo mods are an applicable ammo modifier which will grant you elemental damage as well as an elemental ability every so often whenever you are firing at zombies. The abilities themselves are triggered at random, but the elemental damage being applied is always constant no matter what you are shooting at. There are certain enemy types in the game that are vulnerable to specific types of elemental damage. When it comes to abominations, they are weak to both brain rot as well as napalm burst. Manglers are also weak to napalm burst. The amalgam elite enemy type is also weak to dead wire as well as shadow rift. Vermin are also weak to cryo freeze, and there will likely be many more elemental weaknesses to a lot more of the enemies as the DLC season continues on. If you're curious about how to actually get your hands on some of these ammo mods, I will explain that further in the next video. Something that I believe a lot of players are familiar with, but I will still cover here in this video, is the perks. When it comes to the perks and how they work in zombies, these are purchasable upgrades that you can give to yourself to further enhance your experience and your overall power. When it comes to the perks and what they actually do, you have stamina, which will increase your movement as well as your sprinting speeds. Quick revive will cut your regen health delay in half while also increasing your teammate revive speed by 2. Juggernaut grants you an extra 100 HP over your 150 base HP. Melee Macchiato will grant you a strong melee punch as well as drastically increase the dedicated melee weapon damage in your loadout. Speed Cola will increase your overall reload speed as well as your replating speed, and PhD Flopper comes with a variety of different benefits. To start, diving from heights will create explosions, and the higher the fall, the greater the damage and explosion radius. As well as when you dive, any diving from heights will grant you no fall damage, and lastly, it gives you an immunity to any self-inflicted explosive damage. Deadshot Daiquiri will increase your headshot damage slightly, as well as make sure that your ADS aim assist always targets the enemy's head rather than their chest. Lastly, there is Elemental Pop, which makes it so that bullets have a random chance to trigger any ammo mod in the game. One of the last things that we'll cover here in the menus is a new upgrade system to Black Ops 6 Zombies, which is noted as the Augment system. Basically what these are permanent selectable upgrades for all of your perks, ammo mods, and field upgrades. There are 6 in total for each element of the Zombies mode, and they are separated into being 3 major and 3 minor upgrades. The majors are meant to drastically increase, change, or adjust the function of the element that you are looking at, whereas the minor ones are a small boost or adjustment to the function of the element that you're looking at as well. Only one can be applied to any perk, ammo mod, or field upgrade at a time, and this fully incentivizes you to make separate class builds or think of synergies between all of the elements of your Zombies game in which to make yourself as powerful as possible. In order to earn these augments, you simply need to go into the Research Augments tab of the menu, select a track, and just start earning XP. Only one track can be earning progress at a time, so be sure that you have a selected option that you want to start earning progress for as quickly as possible. When you are starting Zombies for the first time, you will be limited to only choosing Stamina Up, Dead Wire, or Energy Mine, and more will unlock as you earn more augments across all of the unlocked tracks. When you want to apply the earned augments, just simply maneuver over to the Equip Augments menu and pick what you want to utilize. As I mentioned just a moment ago, you can only utilize 1 major and 1 minor per element of the Zombies mode, so be sure to choose wisely. Lastly, for this video, I just want to cover a lot of the settings that I use and give you some recommendations on what to actually set and adjust before you get in-game. These are all my personal choices, so you can make adjustments based on how you see fit and how you want to play the mode or how much information you want to be granted to you at any given time. Firstly, there is the HUD presets. These are a bunch of different presets from Treyarch that you can utilize to adjust parts of the HUD in certain specific locations on where you want, and these will also adjust some of the opacity sliders further down in the menu based on what preset you choose. For me, I went with the classic HUD, as well as removed all of the unnecessary HUD elements, minus the weapon and equipment widgets, and the medals and notifications. I also decided to turn off the health bars and the damage numbers. These can be toggled off at your own discretion. You could also decide to turn on or off the Pack-a-Punch camo to be utilized in-game or not. Hit markers can also be turned off, but these are in two separate parts. You have the hit marker presets, which is the sound of the hit markers, and you have the hit marker visuals, which is actually when they show up in-game as you hit something. You can leave these on or off, up to you. And as far as the certain control settings that I utilize, I recommend to use sprint assist and keep it on for all directions. This will save your left analog stick from constantly being pressed in every time you want to sprint. And I would also recommend, very, very highly recommend, for zombies in particular, to turn both your target and ADS aim assist off, at least for the early game, as far as that ADS aim assist is concerned. This is because target aim assist is the rotational turn that happens when you are aiming close enough to an enemy, and in zombies, when you are dealing with large hordes, it can be very difficult to make your aim go where you want it when it's always dragging along the zombies horde as you run past them. As far as the ADS aim assist and why I recommend turning it off, this is because without Deadshot Daiquiri, the ADS aim assist will always be going towards the zombie's chest when in all instances you want to be aiming for their head. You can decide to leave it off and then turn it back on every time you buy the Deadshot Daiquiri perk, because Deadshot Daiquiri will enable the ADS aim assist to focus on the head rather than the chest, and this is super duper helpful for when you want to play. I'm going to go ahead and keep that settings part of this video short, and you can adjust more of the settings as you see fit. And I'm going to go ahead and leave this video here for today, because in the next video, we are going to cover a lot more of the in-game, in-depth stuff to go when it comes to round by round, some of the basics, and then later on in that video, a lot of the higher round strategies, as well as just some ideas that you can utilize to hopefully do better at the game as a whole. With that being said, I would like to thank you all so very much for watching part 1 of this Everything You Need to Know About Black Ops 6 Zombies guide, and I will see you all in the subsequent video.